So, Dr. Yabwachans, I don't know if you're on the call. Okay, Dr. Yabwachans is on the call at the moment. So, as I said earlier, today's meeting is going to help us to abreast ourselves with the study procedure, all the things that we need to know when we've made a decision or we've settled to pursue our education in the UK. And also, it will help us to apply to some scholarships and position ourselves very well so that we can put in a very competitive application, making us a competitive applicant and getting these scholarships to study in the UK. Before we start that, we will have to go through our safety briefings, what we have to do at the moment, even as we are on this call. So make sure that even if you are at work or you're in your house, you can hear the safety alarm or the emergency alarm, even as you have your earpiece or AirPods or headsets in your ears. And if you want to ask questions, you can use the comment section, or you can simply raise up your hand and I would call you, or I would direct your question to the appropriate person or individual here to get your question answered. Always make sure your microphone is muted so that we can have a seamless and a convenient meeting here. And be mindful of the way you sit as we go through this meeting. Make sure that you position yourself very well and upright on your seat without stressing your back or anything else. You want to leave here safe as we are starting. So on this discussion, we have two speakers speaking. All these two speakers are beneficiaries of the scholarship, the particular scholarship that we are going to discuss here. So it's a great opportunity for us all to benefit because they've been there before, they've applied before, they sent in a stellar application and that earned them that great scholarship. So we are privileged to get glued to our seats and benefit from the enormous knowledge that they are going to share with us. So first on my list is we have Engineer Kofi Senyon Pialo, who previously worked with Becca Hughes. And during his time with Becca Hughes, he worked as a field engineer and also helped in the technical support team as well. So he studied in the UK and he earned the Chevening scholarship. So at the University of Aberdeen, he had his petroleum engineering master's degree. He has also studied energy and economics, finance, with distinctions, and he had his undergraduate studies at the University of Science and Technology, where he studied electrical engineering and electronic engineering with first class. So we are highly privileged to have here with us such an honorable man. Second on my list is Nanaya Franchua Enim. She's also a beneficiary of this scholarship that we are going to have to discuss on the year. She currently works with the International Center for Water Sanitation, and we are privileged to have her here on the call. Without much ado, if Engineer Kofi Senyon Fialo can hear me, please, the floor is yours and you can take over. Thank you very much.
Yes, hello, Vincent. Can you all hear me?
Yes, please, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Yes, with that introduction, I don't think there's much more to say, but I am Senior Fialo Engineer, and I'm working with the Petroleum Commission as a petroleum. I have a slide here I would like to display. I don't know if Vincent, you share it or I should share it from my end.
Please kindly share it from your end. Okay.
Okay, I'm opening. Okay, can you all see the slide? Can you all see the slide?
Yeah. Yes, please, we can.
Yes,
Okay,
please, you
great.
can.
Okay, great. So, yes, just as he introduced briefly, my name is Senior Fialo Engineer. I worked with Baker Hughes and I'm working with the Petroleum Commission now. I gained my Chevening scholarship in 2017 and went to study petroleum, energy, economics, and finance at the University of Aberdeen. And previously, I studied electrical electronic engineering at KNUSC. So I just have about, I think, 10 slides and I'll go through it. Afterwards, I think we'll be open to questions. And I know the co-host and another scholar who will also give a presentation. So I think the host will coordinate all that. I'll just give this and then I think we can move on from there. So first off, this is the first page. I think if you go to the site, Chevening, Ghana, this is the picture you see up there. And as you can see, I'm there in the picture. I was told about a year ago by my fellow scholars that our picture has been used on the homepage. It's still there from what I saw when I went to the homepage. So there we are, the Ghanaian contingent from 2017, 2018. And we are all friends and working in different parts of the world now. I'm thinking if anyone has questions, they can just put them down. And then when we finish, we can just go through them. So prepare yourself for the Chevening scholarship. Learning to pronounce the name Chevening is also part of the scholarship. So just take note of it. First off, the background. Chevening is sponsored by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office with development partners. With, with partners months, but I'll say it's much longer than that for you, the applicant. So you have to get prepared and do a lot of work towards trying to achieve your goals and then trying to win the scholarship because it's quite competitive. The application process and requirements, I'll briefly go through them. You first go to the homepage, read the application guidance, and then apply via the country or territory page. The deadline for this year's application is 5th November 2024. I remember in my year I was applying, that was 2016. It was a similar deadline, and I started the process much earlier. Each applicant must read and meet the eligibility criteria, which includes returning to your country of citizenship for a minimum of 2 years after the award has ended, and completing an undergraduate degree by the application submission date with at least a second-class upper degree. You should also have at least 2 years of work experience cumulatively. So when you add up your work experience, there's a calculator, it should come up to 2 years work. You should apply to 3 different eligible UK university courses and receive an unconditional offer from one of these choices by the application deadline. That's also very important. And I'm sure you will go through the whole process of applying to these schools, preparing your statements and getting feedback from them as you are preparing for to apply for the scholarship. Next is, I've outlined parts of the application. There will be the application information, which includes your personal details, work experience, education. And as I've shown here, the work experience is calculates your hours automatically to sum up to the 2 years in need. There'll be the essay questions, which you have to, I'll go a bit into the essay questions, but there are a number of them, 4 of them, you have to work on. There's further application information. First one is applicant, but this one is further application information, which includes the university application details, the first to third course you choose, the university choices, and other immigration details. There are terms and conditions that you have to review during your award, after the award, code of conduct. It's all in there. And then there's uploading documents and submitting. You have to have 2 referees. And in my case, I had 2 referees. One was a lecturer and one was a colleague, a senior work colleague back when I was with Baker Hughes. Okay. Next are the essay questions. With the essay questions, we have leadership and influence, relationship building and shared learning, study in the UK, and then the career plan. So for these, what I'll say is you should start preparations early, write competitive essays, let someone proofread the essays when you type them out. You should try and watch videos and read wide. I'll say maybe YouTube is one of them, so you understand the requirements for these essays. There's also each essay will have requirements that will be outlined when you get into the portal, and you have between 100 to 500 words for each essay. You should try to write enough and not base it on the minimum, not try to be as low as possible. You should be, I'll say, you are expressing your thoughts, you are curious, you've done research, you've done activities, try and incorporate them into the essays and try and stay within the limits. So that's an outline of the essays. Each essay will have what you should, a guidance on how it should go, what you should outline in it. Next up, sequence of activities after you've submitted your application. So once you submit the application, there will be assessments. Shortlisted applicants are sent notification and give you access to book interview dates. And I think that's typically by February of the following year after the November deadline. Then shortlisted candidates will be requested to submit 2 references and education documents prior to the interview date. So once you are shortlisted, you are booking the date, you have to submit these before the interview. I think in my time, February is when I was sent the notification. I booked my interview for I think the end of March, clearly, and I had to submit these references and education documents before that interview date. The candidates then attend the interviews at the British High Commission in Accra on the designated interview dates. The interview results are announced from June onwards, which actually seems like a long time from the interview date because different people are anxious, waiting, looking forward to it, and all other things. For this upcoming cycle, before and after receiving an offer, the deadline to submit unconditional UK university offer is 11 July 2025. So the portal has not yet been open, but when it's open and you submit, you have until that time to submit at least one unconditional university offer. General tips for essays and interview. First off, I'll read all these points because they're important. Be original. Do not plagiarize. Correct English grammar is important. You are going to schools that use software such as Turnitin and all to assess the level of plagiarism and the level of copy and paste you do. So it's best to start learning how to avoid that right from your essays and application process. Next, give applications due diligence. Allow no room for errors. Try and be free as possible. Review it as many times. Let others proofread, like I said earlier. Go through it and have a different perspective. Like for my case, when I first wrote my essays, I changed my personality and assessed them to see if they were fit for purpose before I even let someone else review them. So I changed the outlook, how I view things, just to read first before I gave it out. I let someone look at them. First, research widely before applying. Research on Chevening, the course you want to study, the university you want to study at, life in the UK government projects in the country, etc. Demonstrate valid knowledge. So this is just being inquisitive, just being curious to understand what is going on, be aware of what is going on between the UK government and Ghana and Africa as well. Select 3 different courses from one university or the same or similar course in 3 different universities. That's an option you can do. I have similar course in 3 different universities or from the same university, 3 different courses. And there are some universities that have history with Chevening, so you should look out for such universities. Use as many different examples as possible in the essays. Avoid repetitions and stick to the word counts. After submitting your Chevening scholarship application, apply to as many universities and courses as possible to improve the chances of gaining an offer of admission. So even after you submit it, keep applying because you don't know what might change with some universities and their courses. So at least you have backup unconditional offers. And then watch videos and read wide on how to write the best essay. That's very important because you are competing with quite a number of other candidates, quite a number of candidates. And it's best to be as competitive as possible. Next are important resources and links that you can use to enhance your application. FA frequently asked questions, the scholarships, eligibility, timelines, guidance, eligibility for Chevening fellowship, applying, choosing country and appropriate award, scholarship or fellowships, and then a reference guide and common application errors by students and applicants. Next, and almost final is my Chevening experience. In typically September, October of every year, when Chevening scholars commence their studies in various universities in the UK, and you become a member of this prestigious community. So for the cycle that next year by September, October, God willing, is when students will commence theirs. My Chevening experience in particular was enjoyable and provided me with the opportunity to build international friendships, granted me access to quality education from a distinguished university. My university, the one below, the University of Aberdeen in Scotland. I went all the way up to the north to school. Great place, great school, great environment. Thank you. Yes, host, back to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my let's invite Hello, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. So, Nanaya Kranchua Enyim, please, if you're here, you can give us the next presentation.
Hello.
Hello, please, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we
please.
can.
Okay. Nice to meet you all. It seems engineer did a fantastic job with the presentation. So because we covered basically both similar similar contents. So what I'm going to do is that I'm still going to go to my presentation, but I'll skip some parts of it because he's already done justice to some parts of it, and then I'll emphasize other parts of the presentation. I hope that's okay. And this will actually probably even save all of us time and leave space for questions. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Okay, just let me know when you can see it. And
Yes, we can.
okay, that's fantastic. Let's see. What's this? Okay, yes, looking at this. Okay, so first of all, my name is Anaya Kranchua Eyu. I'm currently a PMR officer, which is basically monitoring and evaluation staff with IRC, International Water and Sanitation Center. I work for the global team, but I work from Ghana, Accra. And I won Chevening relatively more recently compared to engineer in 2021. So I can give you some updates on things. Some things have changed since the time he has been a beneficiary of the scholarship, but it's not that much of a change because they try to keep things the same. So let's just get into it. The first thing I want to say is disclaimer. I am not officially endorsed or represented by Chevening Secretariat. We Chevening scholars, whenever we ask to talk about Chevening somewhere, we are always advised to give that disclaimer, and especially as this is being recorded. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that. But because we are scholars and beneficiaries, Chevening does okay us in a way, or like allow us in some sense to talk about our experiences, but in no way should our experience be seen as the only one way to get into Chevening. When you go on the website, as engineer said, www.chevening.org, you will find a lot of information there, and then you can take it up from there. This is only to serve as a sort of stepping stone or as a guide to help you facilitate the process. So the fact is that Chevening is very competitive, and I just want to give the chance to make my presentation more interactive. So I want people to guess in the chat or unmute themselves and tell me how competitive they think Chevening might be. You can compare it to Harvard or whatever. Just tell me, maybe you think how do you think the percentage rate is like? Maybe do you think it's 100 out of 1,000, maybe 5% acceptance rate, 15%? Like, just tell me in the chat section, but I would prefer you and like for you to unmute if you can where you are and just tell me right now. So how competitive? I just want to see if people have done some research or have some idea about Chevening. Anyone? Okay, I see something in the chat. Okay, this was from an earlier message. Can you hear me? Okay, somebody is saying 7.5 out of 10. I don't know what that means. So when we say something is competitive, we look at the acceptance rates, John Payson from UMass. So are you trying to say that you think that they accept for every 100 people or every 10 people, at least they accept 7 people? Is that what you're trying to say, or 8 people? Let me just move on. It's actually 1%. Some years it's been 2%, but in recent years it's actually been 1%. That means that if we are in a room and we are 100 people, it's only 1%. One person from that 100 people in that room that will be accepted into the Chevening every single year. And for Chevening globally, we have around roughly many people applying. Usually they have like my batch, we had close to 70,000 applications from around the world. So from like 60 countries. And they picked 1,600 people. So yeah, that's to give you an idea. The reason why I always like to start with this fact is because it shocks some people into taking it more seriously, because you can feel relaxed. You can feel like, yes, you can do it, which you definitely can, but you need to understand what is at stake. As one of my Chevening colleagues said, he said that how much or how badly do you want it? Once you're able to know your starting point of how hungry you are for it, then you know how much you have to put in. For example, if you know that you're walking from here to, you're traveling from Accra to Kumasi, and you're going by road, maybe you're walking, your efforts or your preparation will be different from somebody who is going by plane or who is going by VIP bus. Do you get it? Even the time you get to where you're supposed to leave to start your journey, it will be completely different. So I just like to do that. The reason why Teddy said 10 out of 50, Teddy is closer, so that's another way. So I feel qualified, or in some sense, because I'm also a scholar that's also won it, and I applied 3 times before I won it. And I know people that applied once and they got it, and it's because they understood exactly what they were doing and then they put in the efforts. With Chevening, I can't say it's one of those scholarships you will get by accident. It doesn't happen. You have to put in a lot of intentionality and efforts. And I've also gone forth to help others win. I've coached many people. Those that took it seriously and put in the efforts as I encouraged them, they definitely saw the results. So let me go ahead and give you some of the keys. This is the outline. We're going to talk about what the Chevening Scholarship is. I think engineer did a fantastic job, so I'll probably skip that part on eligibility and documentation because it's basically the same thing. And when you go to the website, all of these things are there. I will talk about the English test because there has been a change since 2020 on the English test, and then the UK university applications as well. There's been a change since 2024, right? Since 2023, there's been a change with UK university applications as well. I'll talk a bit about that. And then I'll talk about timelines. Engineer also did a fantastic job on the timelines, so I won't spend too much time on that. And then I'll emphasize more on what makes a good application because that is where you need to have a lot of understanding. I'll give you key tips on how to make sure your essays, because what makes a strong application is actually really your essays. That's what is going to make you stand out. For the first stage, your essays will get you to the first stage, and the first stage to the interview stage as well. You will need a bit, still your essays will be important, but you need a bit more of charisma and ability to speak convincingly to also get you to the second stage. So, and I'll give you resources because I know how the journey was like for me, and so I sympathize and I really remember it as a young person, as a student graduate. So I have a lot of resources that I garnered over my period. So these are resources that I used. Some of them are free and some of them are paid for. Yes, I went that far to pay for resources. So let's get into it. What's the Chevening Scholarship? So Chevening Scholarship is just a UK government scholarship. That's a summary. I'm hoping that I can share this PowerPoint with all of you after this presentation. I've done that with Dr. Yabuache, so you can get it from him and you can just go through it. So there's more on Chevening over there. You can see that it's basically a taught master's degree. It allows you to apply to schools from Oxford to University of Hull, University of Sussex to Aberdeen, a lot of partner schools within the UK, but it must be a full-time master's taught degree, ideally for 1 year. They don't like to do 2 years. That's basically it. Yeah, and you can also do a postgraduate diploma at the University of Oxford if that's what you choose. Chevening is what we call a full Nyanya scholarship because they will pay for your tuition. They will give you a living stipend, which you would see how important this is once you get there. And then it includes your money for your accommodation, your flights, you won't pay. You'll be reimbursed for your visa fees and also other fees like your TB test, everything, even transportation fees are in there sometimes. And for those that were in the COVID period, they got internet allowance fees because of the transition for the COVID period. Eligibility and documentation. He talked a bit about this. So there's some eligibility requirements. So I've left the link there for you, but basically you have to be of a minimal certain age, but there's no upper age. So in my batch like this, we had this policeman from India who was like 50 something years, and he was in our batch. He was a Chevening scholar because Chevening doesn't really care how old you are, as long as you're ready to learn and you can show leadership requirements. For Chevening, that's what they care about. They care about your ability to show leadership and impact, innovation in the space that you are, and that is what will enable you to be selected. And so there are further details, as in you must come from some set of countries, so 160 countries and territories that they have listed, so you can check it from there. And yeah, Mabel, we will share our presentations later on, so you can go for it from your tutors once we are done. So this is the eligibility and documentation. So you must have some working experience. So lucky for you, they consider working experience including internships and volunteering. So you can actually put those things in and they will take it. Yeah, just make sure that there's a calculator in the application. So you see when you reach the 2,800 hours. And then you have to have all of these things: passports, a valid one, at least 2 years, so that you can, I mean, it can be valid for at least a year, so that when you get there, if you need to change your passport, you can just go to the Ghana or Nigeria immigration office to get a new passport from there. But it should be valid for at least a year, and then all your certifications should be ready, your transcripts, your university choices and courses. We'll talk about this a bit, and then your references and documents to submit before June. You should have an unconditional offer letter. We'll talk a bit about this, from one of the universities you chose, and then your English test results, which is now no longer required. Yes, after 2020. So this brings me to English test. They removed the English language requirement in 2020. Lucky for us, in 2021. So we didn't have to write IELTS, and this was because of the COVID. However, UK universities have brought back IELTS. So a lot of them have brought back IELTS. You can still find UK universities that won't ask you for this requirement. I mean, if you submit just your undergraduate certifications to some of these schools, they will still go ahead and enroll you and give you an offer, an unconditional offer. But some of them will give you a conditional offer and tell you that kindly bring evidence of you speaking English, or your undergraduate study being in evidence of English. So you can then get an English proficiency letter from your school, But sometimes the UK universities won't accept this. They'll ask you to write IELTS. So your safest bet is to still write IELTS just to have more access to more schools and programs, especially certain kinds of programs in certain kinds of schools. So that's a bit more about it. So I've put a link in there and you can go and check it out. And then UK, it's not every school in the UK you can apply to. There are a list of schools. They have a search bar on their website, and then the courses that you can do on their website. It's important you have, the Chevening scholarship says 3 universities because you will choose 3, but I'll say apply to 7, and then that 4 reserve. Once you get to the interview stage, they ask you a question where they ask you, would you like to change your schools? And then if, let's say, you pick all the 3 and then all the 3 rejected you, what are you going to do? But if you have 7, and yeah, 1 will pick you, and then you can, tell them that, okay, I'm going to pick this school. So just on the safe bet to always apply, in my personal opinion, 7 schools, because there have been instances where people had to forfeit their scholarships. It's a very sad thing because they were unable to secure a university. And by the interview stage, you really want to have a school that has already given you an unconditional offer. Even if they've given you an offer and it's conditional, make sure it's a condition you can fulfill. So maybe the condition they're asking you is IELTS, but if this is around, the time where IELTS is ending, which I find to be impossible because it's usually around May, June. Like, you want to be able to tell them that, because Chevening will give you a timeline to submit, and if you don't have a school by then that's it. So timelines, as engineer said, applications open in August, they close in November, early November. They will sift you against eligibility criteria. Then there will be some people to read your essays. They'll pick people they picked from the essay reading for interviews, and then by February they expect you to have all your referees and education documents online, and then interviews will be conducted from ending of February to mid-April, and then you know your outcome by June, and then you have the opportunity to accept by July. In my case, I was on reserve. So around July, when others were getting their full offers, I was given a message like, you have to wait to see if someone would reject their offer and then we can pick you. Fortunately for me, somebody rejected their offer. So I was picked off the reserve list and I was given an offer, but that happened in early August, around August 5th. It rarely happens. It sometimes happens. Sometimes they don't pick anyone of the reserve. Sometimes they do. But I believe I was favored by grace. And yeah, I began my studies as everybody else in that batch, September, October, depending on the school and the time that you're going to and the time that they reopen. So what makes for a strong application? I recalled earlier telling you that Chevening scholarship is about leadership. And this is important because there are other scholarship applications out there and they all look at different things. Some scholarships care about your GPA. Chevening doesn't really care about your GPA. Hence, we've had Chevening scholars that had just diplomas apply and win. We've had Chevening scholars that had 2.2 or what we call second class lower in Ghana, and they've won and then they've gotten it. So it's not really about your GPA. It's about your ability to show them that you have current leadership skills and you have future potential to be an even more greater leader. And that's why they should make a bet on you. Should have some form of, academic or educational background, but it's not ideally a thing of strong consideration. So it is your essays that will let them know whether they should pick you or not. Why do we say the essays? Because imagine going to an elevator, I like to always put it this way, and meeting, because we have Nigerian participants, Aliko Dangote in the elevator, or for Ghanaians, despite. And he tells you that, okay, I feel like being happy and listening to somebody today. So in 5 minutes, tell me about yourself. You can't tell your whole life story, and that's not even where you go and share your family issues. What you want to do is you want to be able to leave him inspired and probably want to make a bet on you. Maybe not just give you money, gift you money. No, that's one. The relationship will be short term. You want to probably have him say, okay, so what do you want from me? You know, when you speak to him, he's so inspired that he says, so how can I help you? You know, he feels so inspired that this boy is going somewhere. I want to take a bet on this person. Or this lady is going somewhere. I want to take a bet on this person. So how can I help you? And then once you get that question, it's like you've hooked this rich investor. And then you say, okay, you can help me A, B, C, and D. And it's not A, B, C, and D. Give me money to go and party or to a party or go and do something. But give me money so I can make a tangible impact that reflects good also on your brand. That is all about A, B, and C. So that is basically what Chevening is. It's basically an Aliko Dangote who has the money, 40,000 pound, usually 40 to 60,000 pounds plus to invest in you. That is what it is. Think about it that way. So you may not have the chance to talk about it, but you can write. I mean, you will have the chance to talk about it when you are getting to the interview stage. But first, you have to write about your story and your impact. So they give you 4 different topics, maximum of 500 words. I really encourage you to be around each essay to be around 490 words, 495. Try and maximize your use of 500 words. Don't go over. And yeah, so I'm going to spend more time here, a little bit more time here, because I think this is where you need to pay attention. This is what will make you stand out. When writing your essays, use the STAR and the SMART approach. I'll talk a bit more about it. And then make sure you cover your bases in your essays. Use what I call a common thread. If you go on my LinkedIn, or go to opportunities for us. If you Google opportunities for us in LinkedIn, I wrote an article about it 2 weeks ago using what we call a common thread. So a common thread is like somebody is known for something. So for example, if I mention Bella Mundi right now, what will you guys say about her? You know her to be on TV. She's a media person. Exactly. So if I mention Asamoah Gyan, football. So you have 4 different essays, but you want to make sure that across all those 4 essays, one particular theme is running out. So if you're a person who is in the environment space, but maybe you're doing engineering, you're doing a lot of things, you want to make sure you stick to one particular thing and then keep that running throughout your essay. I hope that's clear. That's what we mean by a common theme, or mention the most important elements. Don't plagiarize, be truthful, make a storytelling flow. Make sure to highlight your achievements. You can highlight your achievements very effectively by using numbers. I have a video in my seller store that is a free video that talks about how you can communicate your achievements effectively using numbers and then certain phrases. Yeah, some of them I'll mention. So saying I created, I developed, I led, I produced. Yeah, even if it's a team, everybody is doing something in a team, right? You have a specific role you played in a team. If let's say you're in a club or an association, and you're even a secretary in the association, you're still doing a specific role or responsibility. So talk about that part and how your specific role contributed to the overall impact. I'll give you an example. An example would be maybe as a secretary in the Environmental Student Association, because that's where I was. I garnered 4 out of the 14 internships that the association managed to secure overall for our 32 members. So I've used numbers to show you my contribution to the impact. Yes, so ensure that any stranger can make sense of what you're trying to say, because remember, they don't know you from Adam. They don't know you from anywhere. It's not like a
Hello. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. I think Manaya has feed as well. Yeah, we can hear you.
I think we lost.
Yeah, I think we lost her.
Okay.
All right. So, Vincent, whilst we're waiting, probably you could get Senor to talk a bit about, to take some questions, and then when Anaya is able to join, she can continue her presentation.
Exactly, that'll be fine.
Yeah.
So from the chat box, I think there are a few questions for Engineer Senor.
Yes.
Wanda says,
Yes,
before studying in Aberdeen, how did you successfully go through the CAS application, and how can you share some tips on how to secure your CAS certificate?
yes. Thank you, Vincent. So his question on the CAS, confirmation of acceptance, that will be required to apply for the UK visa. And normally that will come, they need proof of support for payments, proof that you can pay for the studies there. Who will then issue that to you, and then you use that to apply for the visa itself. So that process comes. Okay, Nanaya is back.
Yes, my apologies. My hotel Wi-Fi went down, so I have to use my own Wi-Fi. I had a
No
backup,
problem.
so all
No
right.
problem.
So, if maybe someone could help me with where they lost me, then I'll be able to go back onto that. I think I was here. I think I was at the point where I was talking about using I or we. Is that correct?
Yes, you being a secretary.
Okay. Yes, okay. Yes, so I was giving an example about connecting numbers, like even if you're on a team, connecting your personal impact or contribution on the team to the overall output. So in that ALX video, I give like very detailed examples. I'll share the link with you at the end of the slide. It's there. You can go and access it and watch it for free because there are more details and it helps you to, that video will help you not just for Chevening, but even for job applications after school, because what it does is that really you want to be able to express yourself such that you can connect your personal productivity and your value to the person who is listening to you, like the person who is going to invest in you, like whether it's the HR person or it's a scholarship committee member. So they want to know, let's say, if they give you a work to do, an amount of work, and maybe it's taking an employee in the company 2 weeks to do it. How long will it take you? Will it take you 3 weeks? Will it take you 1 week? Do you get it? But they can't know if you are also not communicating previous or past work and like your productivity. So the example I gave was that, let's say I'm a secretary in ISA Association, and in the ISA Association, I remember one of the things we used to do was to go around to companies to go and get internships for our members. So I can say, for example, as secretary at that time period, I have to put in a time period. This year, I think it was 2015. So in 2015, I was ISA secretary and I contributed to securing personally 4 out of the overall 14 internships we secured for our 32 associate members. Okay, so I've been able to show my productivity and my contribution as a team to the team. Yeah, and then in that way, I used I. Okay, so you want to use I more than we. The same things apply to the interview stage as well. And then make sure you use Grammarly to spell check. Very useful, especially for those of us that like to type fast and then autocorrect, or like we just type faster than our brain is catching up. Grammarly will make sure that it draws attention to some of these things. Remember, I spoke about the STAR and the SMART approach. STAR approach, I've linked something there. Muse is a HR website, but STAR approach really enables you to talk about the important things. So you see, on the next slides, you see examples of the prompts for the 4 essays, which you can start writing now if you intend to apply next week when the application opens. You don't need to wait for it to open because it's always the same question every year. But STAR approach really enables you to get to the core. So for example, one of the questions from Chevening is that, tell us about your leadership experience, right? Something like about a leadership essay. STAR method, where you describe the situation or the scene, you give the task. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, because I got a message that my internet was unstable. Okay. You give the task, then you give your action, as in what you did. I'll give you an example when I'm done, and then your results. Then the SMART approach is for overall description and flow of these different things. So SMART is like putting all of these 3 examples of leadership that you put in your leadership essay all together. So giving specific overall examples, and then measurable, using numbers. Remember, you have to talk about timelines, you have to talk about figures, percentages, achievable. When we say achievable, we're talking about things that, you know, to the human strength, we know what human beings can achieve. So you can't come and tell us that, oh, you ate, I don't know, or maybe you helped 15,000 people in one day single-handedly. I don't know maybe how you did it, but maybe you like something outrageous, yeah, like we would know that that's not true, yeah. And also means it's realistic. And then timely, as I said, always put in timelines. I have a guide, but that is paid for, where you can, it has like formats that enable you to write out your achievements, and it has like these sections for you to write your timelines and all of that in there. So let me show you an example with the leadership one here. So this is one of the essays that you write. So the prompt is, which you'll see in the application form, is that Chevening is looking for individuals who will be future leaders or influencers in their countries. Explain how you, Kweku or Ajua, not anybody else, you will meet this requirement using clear examples of leadership and influencing to support your answer. Okay? So there's an explanation of what is down here. This is from another colleague, Shivana Mavis Braga Elias from Namibia. And this is her understanding and her explanation of what it should be. So she's just summarizing what you should do. And let me give you an example. I have my free leadership essay in my seller store. It's really accessible to everyone. So after this, you can go and read it and see. So an example would be, let's say, in the environment space, in 2013, I was leading my colleagues in high school as environment prefect. So you can start from there, try to do that childhood thing. So you bring like a timeline from your childhood, and then one from your SS, and then what you did in university. So maybe that would be your 3 instances where you want to show leadership. So you start in your first paragraph and say, all my life I have shown leadership because I wanted to, or I had a vision of becoming a petroleum engineer, working in the environment space because I saw an oil spill, the Valdez oil spill when I was younger or whatever. And so then you start. So I began this by, when I was in primary school, I decided to be environment prefect. I ran and I won. And then talk about a specific thing you learned from that instance. So maybe something that went well didn't go well. Maybe you lost, but you still ran. So you learned something from that experience. And then maybe secondary school time too, you did something. And then when you're in university too, you also did something, and then you connect all of them together, and how you use those different positions or experiences to exert or expand your leadership experience. That should be the summary of the overall thread. networking. Networking is talking about how you build professional relationships and how you use these relationships to influence others. And then you should really connect this experience of, or these stories of how you built relationships in the past to how you will also take advantage of Chevening networking to expand that influences. Why? Because Chevening is so large. We have over 55,000 alumni. Some of them are presidents in some countries. Some of them are ministers. How do you intend to take advantage of some of these relationships? That is just to expand your mind and then to give you an idea. And then the career posts. So one of the things about Chevening is that when you're done, you're supposed to come back and stay in your home country for at least 2 years, because they want to try to encourage you to use what you learned to help your home country. So I came back, and I've been in Ghana for the past 2 years. But if I want to leave, my 2 years is over in September, so I can go back to the UK and go and look for work if I want to. So that's how it works. So the career plan, you want to really talk about what you plan to do immediately after you leave, maybe after a while, and then in the long term. Then study in the UK. Here, you really want to go ahead and talk about the 3 university courses that you pick for the application period, and then in the portal, and talk about the modules that you're excited to work in. Maybe there's something in the school in particular, maybe there's an institute, even the course. Some of the courses, they have certain accreditation. So when you're done with that course, maybe you have like a certification from a chartered association or professional body in the UK. Some of the courses are like that. If you do your research well enough, you'll be able to find some of these courses. Or maybe the professor you want to work with, like, you know, he has done so many wonderful things. So that is what you want to do. Or the city, you know, for example, London. London is known for what? Fintech. So maybe you want to work in the fintech space, so definitely London is a place you want to be in. Yes, your school will give you or facilitate those things. So maybe there's a particular company you want to work with, and that company is in London, and then your school can give you access because maybe they have some fantastic internship programs. Some of the UK schools have. So, and then some of the programs also even have opportunities for you to travel. You know, they do these field trips and all of that. My program had that, but unfortunately, COVID didn't make that dream a reality. So do's and don'ts. Don't daydream. Don't waste time. Start writing your essays even today and seek feedback. Not from me, because I'm busy. I'm sorry, but from initial, I'll say your initial essay, seek feedback from people who are in like professional authority over you, like your mentors. And then once you refine it more, reach out to other, when you go on LinkedIn, you find a lot of Ghanaian Chevening alumni. You'll find, we have a Chevening Ghana alumni page on Facebook. If you go there, you send them a message. The administrators will actually connect you to someone that can help you to edit your essays. We actually do these things where the alumni volunteer to coach those that Ghana that want to apply, and even put them in groups and coach them, like group mentor them. I've done that for the past 2 years. This year, I have to take a break, unfortunately, but there will be other high quality alumni in the batch to help you as well. So always decide to message the Facebook alumni Ghana page. Don't recycle old essays. So maybe some essay that you wrote about something, maybe why you like Bangkok. No, this is not a place to bring it. And then don't complain. Essay, I mean, I feel like the Chevening essay starts to give you a look or a peep into how UK academic life is going to be like, because it's quite rigorous. And this 4 essays you're going to write even more words for one assignment, probably 3 times in the semester. So you better make sure you have it psyched yourself and then you go all in. Remember, it's 1% that are going to get it. So you want to be that 1% out of the 100 people that gets it. So then put in your very best. You don't want to be the person who will do a little half work and then stay up at night in bed be thinking, oh, if I had done this, but you already submitted it. And then I personally would say that have 5 people look at your essays. And out of those 5 people, at least 2 of them should be Chevening alumni. They don't have to be Ghanaian alumni. It can be Nigerian, it can be Pakistani, like they are all good, because the quality of excellence that Chevening is providing, it's not just different per country, it's the same thing, so it's fine. And then get the formulas. So the formulas, I'll share some resources with you and you get to see where the formulas is. So some of the formulas I mentioned are the STAR, the SMARTS, these things help you to compress your work, to talk about the core essential things, because that's the formatting that even the people reviewing your essays will be looking at as well. So it helps you to go straight to the point. I have these things here. The highlights of them is that there's a free Chevening guide by Dr. Grace Akape. I think his is really good, but it's a lot of reading, which personally, I'm not a very big reader person. And so I also created my own guide, which is, I believe, is more fun, but mine is paid for because of the templates. I spent a lot of time and then paid resources to get access to. However, I have free essays from IHE, my time applying IHE. I also got into IHE, and then I think Sheffield, yes, I got into Sheffield as well, that you can access if you go to my seller store. And I put together YouTube videos that I watched, and they helped me because, as I said, I'm not really like, I can't do large amounts of information alone. I'm also a very audiovisual person, so I put in YouTube videos for you guys. And then the mega list is all free. The YouTube videos are actually in the mega list, and then there's only one YouTube video in the curation, because that one is a step-by-step by some people in Nigeria, where they take you through like a typical how to apply for the application through the portal. Like, they take you to every step of the way. And then you can reach out to opportunities for us. It's a community-based opportunities. And then, like, you go to our newsletters. I really put a lot of tips on how to write good scholarship essays there for free. They're like 3 minutes, so you can just go back and read all the past episodes. They're like 10 in all. And if you need professional help, we do have 2 people who are on standby that can help you. Of course, this is like paid professional services, but that's it from my end. Thank you very much. And remember, you don't need to use our paid professional services to make it to me. Yes, I did pay for some things, but it was because of certain things I wanted. For Chevening, I didn't even pay for anything. Everything I did was like just finding a lot of free resources, but there were other scholarship applications. I paid for certain things, and other job opportunities, I paid to have access to certain things like McKinsey and all of that, like £100 and the rest, and then all of that. But I'm just trying to make a point that you don't need, I'm not trying to tell you that come and buy my product, too. That will no. I do that because there are people that put in time and investments to make the templates and those things available, but you don't necessarily need all of that to succeed. I did it without paying for any Chevening scholarship. I didn't pay for anything to get the Chevening scholarship, but I had to put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and that is what is important. And making sure that you put in the right effort and the right focus on the things that need. You can't go and talk about things that they don't care about and expect them to mind you. You have to talk about things they care about, and then they will listen to you. So with that, I'm done with my presentation. I hope I didn't go over time, but thank you so much for listening to me, and I can take questions now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nanaya, for such a wonderful presentation and all the resources that you have shared with us. We do appreciate that very much. So at this moment, let's take questions from our participants. You can send your questions through the chat box, or you can also raise up your hand and give out your questions. So I think, Engineer, you were answering somebody's question earlier on. If you could take that again.
Yes. Nanaya, thank you. And she's sent me back to through the whole process actually. It's interesting to have someone who completed recently and has gone through the whole process again.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, and yeah, I'll add on to her disclaimer. It applies to all of us. We are not Chevening reps. We are just giving our insight and our experience to help others. So for the question, the first one I think was, before studying Aberdeen? How did you successfully go through the CAS? So as I was saying, I think that the CAS is confirmation of acceptance for studies, and it's issued by the school in the UK that you apply to, and they will need some information, some details from you, and proof of support and sponsorship, like the scholarship. So that will come after you are given, I think it's a conditional offer, right? And you submit that, and you use that for your student visa application process. So that comes after you are given such an offer by Chevening or any other scholarship for that matter. This class is a necessity for the Chevening scholarship. To go to the UK to do your course, definitely yes, because you need it for even your visa process, like I've said, but not for when you are applying or submitting your essays and all for Chevening. No, you will not require it at that stage. So this comes after you've got the offer, at least. And did you need to write English proficiency test knowing that they gave waiver to some countries? Yes, I did. I did the IELTS, went through the whole process, reading, was it writing, and all the others. I met a lot of people who were co-applying to other scholarships that I had met at other places when we were writing the IELTS. The good thing, so yeah, as we are talking, we are giving examples. The good thing was I wrote my IELTS right after my Chevening interview, which was in March. Now, I had a colleague who was waiting for the offer before writing the IELTS. So he waited till June, and he got the conditional offer from Chevening. And then he now went to book for the IELTS, and the earliest date he could get was, I think, end of July or early August. I can't remember the timeline. And then when he wrote the IELTS, he didn't meet the requirements. So in that case, to rewrite would go beyond the school start date, which was in September. So that is how he lost the scholarship. But then that benefits those like Nanaya who were ever ready, prepared, waiting, and then were bumped up into the categories. So that's one example. And I know others too who hadn't yet got the unconditional offer. So your rule of thumb of about 7 is really good because at least you have enough redundancy. Now, can you share your difficult moment when applying for Chevening? My difficult moment would be the wait after the interview. I think that was the most difficult moment for me. You know, so many things happen even before nominations, those who were selected for the interview came on. I joined some groups on Facebook, international students from all over. Some kept going into the portal to check if a full stop had been added to the sentences there. Something had changed, and a bar that was blue had changed color. Like people were practically going on the site every day to check for updates. And that was really interesting because I mean that's the level of anxiety that existed at that time. And that was just before those who had were selected were asked to book dates for interviews. So you can imagine. But then after the interview, the wait from I waited from March to June. Yes, that was a long wait. That was a difficult period. Kept trusting God that will go well because the number of people I saw, Nanaya gave the statistic, the 1%. I even saw one on for 2023 that 1,400 students out of 70,000 applicants got the scholarship. So you can imagine the number of people who are waiting, qualified. They've done all the research. Nanaya has taken you through. They've done all the work. So you can imagine. So that was, in all honesty, that was the most difficult period. So when I got the confirmation in June, yeah, you can imagine I was the happiest person around. So I think that's about it in summary.
Okay, thank you very much. We still have some few minutes to answer some questions from our participants.
Okay, so would you like me to answer some of them or?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I went off and I came back. So I'm going to start from where I can see from my screen, but you can repost them if you see the escape. So there's one from Richie I'm seeing here. That's the first question I'm seeing here. It says a Chevening scholarship for only university students. Oh, I do want to mention something in addition to what the engineer said about the cars. There's also something called ATAS, and is like a technical qualification. So those of you that have engineering background, certain UK universities, they need you to have that ATAS. It's not all of them, all the engineering courses, but some of them, like especially the technical ones. So you need to look into that one as well and make sure you have the qualification for that ATAS as well. It came up in my mind when he mentioned the cars. And the good thing about the class is that you don't need to really worry about all of that stuff. Just worry about getting the school and then your Chevening, because British Council has a bespoke service, if I should say, where if you're a Chevening scholar, a Marshall scholar, or a Commonwealth scholar, and you get like your school and you get your scholarship, they will basically, and you get your IELTS, they will basically like for free connect you to like an agent that will like make sure you get all your papers together. Even when you go to the visa, for your visa appointment, you even stand in the queue, like VIP treatments, like you skip the queue and everything. Like, so don't worry about like, you know, the cars and all of that. Once your Chevening Ghana officer or like your country officer, if you are from Nigeria, like they will help you, and then that's British Council agents. Like they have this, I forget the name, they've changed their name now, but it's like they help anybody who's going to the UK, any students who's going to the UK, yes. So it's like they have been recruited and they are paid by British Council. You don't need to pay them to help students in these countries or nationals to apply to school. So once you do that, your Chevening officer will connect you to that person to help you to get your documentation together, like for your visa processing and all of that, like your TB test, everything, and then help you to communicate with your school for your class. But you need to make sure that you get your school first, and then you get your Chevening unconditional letter first. Yes. When you get those ones, they'll be willing to help you. They'll be on standby to help you and everything. So it's like a concierge service. Don't worry about that. For me, I didn't write IELTS. I didn't write because I told myself that I didn't want to write IELTS. I was like, I cannot. I had gone through the trauma of writing SAT for undergrad. I wrote SAT like two or three times, and there was always so much stress. And I told myself that I don't want to do that. And I also studied for GRE, but I ended up not writing GRE. So I told myself that I don't want to write IELTS. There are people like that. I turned out not to be the only one. But there are some people they wanted to, because they wanted to apply to specific programs in specific universities. So some schools in the UK, they will require you to write IELTS. Chevening won't, because they took that off their requirements after 2020. Before then, everybody who was applying to Chevening had to write IELTS. But after that, you don't. So now it's just looking at the school and the program. So you can choose to pick schools where you don't have to write IELTS. There are also schools where you have to pay for application fees. Remember that LSE is one of them. You have to. I wanted to go to LSE, but when I saw the application, I said, "Me, I won't pay. I don't want to go there anymore." The other Russell University group universities that I can go to and do the same course. So that's exactly what happened. There's Sussex, there's Leeds, and all of that. So you don't need to, if you don't want to pay for application or IELTS, just make sure you do your research very well. Read all the fine line on the fine prints, because there can just be one line that can trip you up, some of the conditions that they have in some of their programs. So it's not, I would say it's only for university students reaching. I said this because if you have a nursing degree, you can apply. If you have, you know, the technical, the BTech people, the people that go to technical university, you can apply. We've had BTech people. If you have an HND, you can apply. I know in Nigeria it's called OND or Ordinary Diploma or something like that, Ordinary National Diploma. Like you can apply. Just make sure that you passed the grade, like you graduated at least with a second class lower, at least. The ideal would be to have a second class upper, but even if you didn't, you should have something like that. So you don't necessarily need to be a university person. You can be from a technical university background, technical school background or training, the TVET people, or nursing school or something like that. Teddy says that how do you apply to the university in the UK? So when you go to the Chevening website, they have on the page, when you scroll down, you see something called I can't recall the name, but it's like you see, they'll say programs and schools or something like that, but it's ideally the partner schools. There's a link of it in my slide presentation, which will be shared with everybody here, I guess. If not, you can DM me on my LinkedIn and I can forward this presentation to you. But ideally, that's where you can make sure that the schools that you're applying to, Chevening has an agreement with them to sponsor students coming, because not all the UK universities, there are over thousands of UK universities, but not all of them that are having partnership agreements with the UK government for Chevening. So you have to be careful about that. You don't want to go and apply to a school that they don't have anything to do with Chevening, and then you'll be stuck. So please, is it only for those who want to pursue their masters? Yes, it's only for masters, taught masters. Yes. If you want to do maybe something else like a PhD, then maybe you should look at Commonwealth or other sources of funding or other applications of scholarship. Hakeem is saying post Chevening, how's the experience been, please? Maybe I'll let the engineer talk first because he's been in longer than me. Then I'll answer your question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nana. Yeah, it's been wonderful. Right from the time I left Ghana, I arrived in Aberdeen. The fellow students who were there already from other countries, we had already formed groups, WhatsApp groups, and also we met, went out, had lunch, had dinner, met past students who were in the UK. They provided some guidance for us. We went on trips. We went in Aberdeen, there was a place called Donator Castle. We went there, went on other trips. During the Christmas, we went to Edinburgh. So international group of students, all of us just book and go together as groups. We did a lot of things together as groups. And then post Chevening, when we all left, we still keep in touch. Some travel from one country to the other to go for events, for others, weddings, and other occasions. We still talk a lot. And even within Ghana, we have the group, my year group. We keep in touch. We've invited each other for programs, for different programs, and we have a number of attendees, number of them attending. We chat almost, I'll say, let's say every other month in person, sometimes on the page, a lot more often. We meet at the British High Commissioner's residence when there are other students leaving, when there are other programs, we are invited, we go. That's and when it's been a new experience, a whole new and great experience for us. I've met high profile people in the country through some of these meetings. I've made a lot of friends, and it's been a great experience. So yeah, I think Nanaya too can talk about hers and how it's been so far. I returned to Ghana in 2018. So since then, it's been wonderful. Nanaya. Oh, okay. I'm looking at the other questions too. Without 2 years working experience, you are not qualified for the scholarship. Well, the 2 years is cumulative, like I said. So there's a calculator there. All the work you've done different places you've done the work, it should come up to, I think, 2,800 hours of working. So once it doesn't mean it's 2 years, it's cumulative over the period, what you've done. So that should add up. They want you to have identified with a certain career plan or a line that you want to go in terms of your career. That's the essence of the. So that way your master's is going to support your career plan. So that's why you need that kind of experience. So at least you know what you're about, what you want to do, and then you are doing the master's in line with that. And job opportunities, yes, definitely. Chevening scholars are distinguished. So there are job opportunities for students. And it helps even with the networks and all. Some of my colleagues who now work in other parts of Africa were through Chevening contacts and friends they need. And that's why they are traveling all over. We all passed the 2-year mark somewhere with 2020. So from then we could go out. Some of us decided to stay in Ghana, but a number of us went out. So, yeah. Let me hand over to Zonia to also tell you about her experience.
Okay, thank you. So post-Chevening, the experience, I think it's different for everyone, depending on how well you maximize your time in the UK and also after the UK. I say this because I have friends that they were just learning, and then when they came back, they realized that there was so much they missed out on. Because the thing is, you'll be studying, but you have to make the conscious choice that you will travel, you will network, you will do certain things for yourself. Because in as much as it's a steady academic thing, you also have to make sure that you create the experience for yourself. So for me, like this, I was traveling every other 2 weeks. Even though I found like a church that I was serving in, like even I was on the protocol team, they used to fight with me because Saturdays, not every Saturday I'll be available. But I've planned my Saturday that I'm going to Cornwall, or I'm going to where the village that Shakespeare was born in. I'm going to look at the museum there or something like that. I'm going to Birmingham, like there's an aquarium there, 360 aquarium. I've already planned everything. So I would say that you have to be intentional. Like, yeah, you have to be. I remember the reason why even I wanted to go to LSE was because I knew they had like this great Africa Fellowship program for African students in LSE, and I knew that they had people like Mo Ibrahim coming there to come and talk to them sometimes. Do you get it? So, like, you have to make sure you do your own research, look at the courses and the programs to curate the experience for yourself. That's where I want to start from. So because I knew all of these things and I like had seen myself in what I wanted to do and how I wanted to take advantage of certain opportunities. When I came, I got a job. Some people tell you that it's very hard to do a job in a school because the kind of job I was doing, I was working for the university and I was a fellowship ambassador. So basically, I would go on the behalf of the university to UK primary and secondary schools, A levels, and I could relate to their course curriculum because I did A levels as well, and I did geography. So I'll go and talk about the environment and like promote. They do these things called academic taster sessions. So they are basically trying to get the SS students psyched up. With their SS students psyched up for university, so then they'll tell you that they'll bring this young person to come and talk to you about how the environment, maybe a topic on something under the environment, so like climate change, and then I would go or talk about waste and how food waste relates to climate change. So I'll give like a lecture setting, like I'm trying to get them to see how university life will be like, and then they will decide whether they want to come. And then there's like a way to advertise the University of Leeds as well to the students in the Yorkshire region, and I get paid for that. I even go to Cambridge to teach because they have like partnerships with some of the other schools and other programs. So for me, it was fun for me because I got to meet a lot of important people and all of that. So that's for me. Another friend of mine who was Ivorian, she was in the same building as me. She had a completely different experience. Why? her course was different. She did, even though we were in the same school, she was a Chevening scholar. She did fintech. And so she would go to London a lot to explore a lot of the opportunities in London with London companies. So before we finished our final dissertations assignments, she had a job and she moved to London. So like that's it. We had other colleagues. So it depends on how the experience for Chevening is like during that phase because of the opportunities and advantages. That's why I said some people, they just came to learn and then they were like, oh my God, I can't believe. And it's like, you know, at the beginning of the program, they'll tell you that make sure you take advantage of everything because the time will go by like this. And that's what happens. So yeah. And then after coming back to Ghana, some people came and then they went back. But after coming back to Ghana, for me, I found a job relatively quickly. I think I found that to be true because I did have some work experience because even when I was doing my undergrad, I was working. When I was in uni, I was working at Grassroots Hub. It's in Kenya. I don't know where they are now, but I know they are still in the Bono region. And I was like supporting their eco entrepreneurship program that they were doing there and all of that. So I had stuff to write, a lot of stuff to write for my work experience. Remember, guys, I said that you don't need to have like proper working experience. If I say proper, I don't mean like I mean professional working experience. You can use internships. I know in uni, at the time that I was there, we had like industrial attachments. That's like minimum 2 months. And put it in the Chevening application as well. And I don't know how much the career office is always emphasizing you guys do internships, but try and make sure that you do internships every semester, every free vacation, so that you can have some of these things available to you. So coming back after having your UK experience, you know, if you are able to work in the UK is a plus. And then I would also say try and get like a chartered qualification because the UK has some of the largest chartered qualification bodies there. And then it improves your chances of getting a job back home. And then plus your work experience before you went to Chevening, you should be able to find a job. And one of the things that happens when you come back is that the UK embassy, the British High Commission will invite you to networking events. We have UK Alumni Ghana Association. It's very big. And the kind of people in there, you have no idea. I remember the first time I came back and went there, the table I was sitting at, the lawyer for EPA, the head lawyer for EPA Ghana, she was on my table because she's a Chevening scholar. Then there was this man. He has one. I won't mention the name of the company, but one of the biggest companies at the Tema ports. He is in charge of it. He didn't use Chevening scholarship. He paid to go to the UK to do his own masters, but he was on our table because he's in the UK alumni network. Once you go to any UK university, you're in that network. He was on our table, so I talked to him and all of that. So like that's the kind of people you have access to. So you won't really have a problem when you come back and you are going for some of these events and then you are being visible. Like you are talking, you're sharing, networking, contacts, telling them about what you do, what service you can also provide to them, and all of that. So you should be fine. But if you choose to go back, so you can go back. Just make sure you go back in the allowed time that you're supposed to go back. Yeah, there are lots of job opportunities available to you. I don't know about the recording and how you get it. I'm sure maybe your organizing team will help you out with that. Yeah. So I think that is it. I hope you've been able to sufficiently answer all the questions in the chat to your satisfaction, but I think we have. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for the opportunity as well and the information given us. I'm inclined to believe that everyone here has benefited from this meeting, and it is going to go a long way to have a significant impact in our lives and our applications for graduate school. We do appreciate your time. We do appreciate the energy and everything. So if today happens to be your first time joining our call, we are SPE, Society of Petroleum Engineers. What we usually do is we make sure that we train competent engineers and petroleum engineers through the sharing of ideas of exploration, petroleum drilling, petroleum production, so that we can advance the demand of energy in the next generation. So as we do this, the mission is to connect a global community of engineers, scientists, and related professionals to exchange technical knowledge to achieve sustainable energy future. So irrespective of your profession, the work that you do, you can still go ahead and join SPE. If you're a student in any current institution, you can also go ahead and register with SPE. We have a lot of benefits to offer our young professionals and also our students, especially in the field of developing their technical expertise in the industry and also advancing their career as graduates and students. So you can follow us on LinkedIn, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and all our social media handles. And in case you want to get back to any events that we have done, you can go to our YouTube. We have all the videos posted there. You can get access to all these videos, and trust me, they are going to help you a lot. So currently, SP is running out an event that we are hoping to educate and enlighten all students on how they can apply to schools in the UK, schools in the US, Germany, and all around the world. So you can go to LinkedIn, tap on the link, and get yourself registered. We are going to assign you to people who are experts in this application, and they will assist you. Even if you want to evaluate your transcripts, if you want to write GRE, if you want to write SAT, anything that you want to do. So far as it's part of the academic journey, we are going to make sure that we help you in that regard. And also, we have our energy bars being rolled out at the moment. So when you go to our LinkedIn, you can see that we have links attached to all the energy buses that we have. We are giving informations on the current energy issues, the energy transition, and what is going on in the energy industry. So if you want to get yourself abreast with these information, you can follow us on YouTube and also watch our energy buses. And finally, we have this SPE awards. So this award is technically for those who have shown commitment and dedication to the progress and development of SPE. So if you think you have been part of us, you've been doing and championing our works, you can also apply for this application or this award, and you'll be honored in that regard. So we are privileged to have with us here Dr. Yao Echampon Bwachansa. He will climax the event and also give us the votes of thanks and everything. He's the chairperson of the scholarship committee, and under his guidance and tutelage, we brought you this event. So without much ado, Doc, you may take the podium to climax the event. Thank you.
All right, Vincent, thank you very much. I mean, Vincent is a part of the scholarship committee, so he represents all of us. All right, so I'd want to especially thank Nanaya and Senyo for willingly participating in today's presentation. Actually, we gave them very short notice. I think it was early in the week that we discussed this with them, and they were very happy to share their experience. Obviously, the main reason we brought this up early is that the Chevening scholarship is open from 6th of August this year, and that's maybe a couple of weeks to go. So it's very important that all of you get some pre-information and start preparing. Also, this was a platform for you to be aware of the scholarship being open. And usually, as I mentioned, it's open for about 3 months. And I think this year is open till November 9th. So, I mean, back in the day, I personally tried to apply to Chevening, and when I saw the essays and the number of hours I had to spend to tailor them to be proper, I realized I wasn't cut out for Chevening. But in the end, by God's grace, I've had an opportunity to finish my master's as well. So yes, I think this is a good platform. Some of you are much better writers. Some of you are very good in communicating, and use this opportunity to give yourselves a platform to success. And you never know, maybe next year by this time, we'll be calling on some of you to share your experience, and you even be in the UK by that time. Or maybe later we can have you guys on board. But I especially want to thank Senor and Anaya. I know they're very busy people, and they are here with us to share their experience. So thank you once again. And to the bigger SPE Ghana section, I also want to thank the leadership for supporting this initiative and guiding us on how to make this a success. I hope that in subsequent engagements, we can bring you guys a lot more opportunities. But those of you who are on the SPE platforms, the WhatsApp groups, every once in a while, the scholarship committee puts scholarships not just in the UK, but around the world. So please, let's make it a point to pay attention to those. And maybe that's your opportunity. So apply and let's see how that goes. And even though this is supposed to be a vote of thanks, I also want to use a platform to do a little marketing. The University of Energy and Natural Resources Department of Petroleum and Natural Gas Engineering has had the accreditation to run a master's in natural gas engineering and management. So we are having opportunities to run the MSc and MPhil. So those of you who have completed your degrees or who are about finishing, please turn to UNE. I'm sure you can see Nanaya is our product, Vincent is our product. They are very excellent. I'm sure even Engineer Senyo would want to pass through one day. So let's all make it a point to
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Senyo. So, Vincent, thank you once again for making this program a beautiful one. I think you've coordinated it excellently, and thank you once again. Thank you for all the participants for being here. I have two people in my office also who are listening in, so thank you also for being around, Derek and Efia. Thanks everyone. Yeah.
So thank you all for being here. We can end the meeting for now.
You're welcome.
All right, so Vincent, it looks like I think you have the slides. So maybe you can also put the slides for Anaya and Engineer Senyo on the various student WhatsApp groups as well. And then maybe the main SPE member page. I think we can share the slides.
Okay.
Thank you all. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
I will accept.
Bye.